What's up, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. I've been away for a little bit, just taking care of some personal stuff, getting some business done, but I'm back. So, kind of revamp the show a little bit. I'm going to go through some quick news here. Then I got my topic for today is WWE's tag team division, or lack thereof, apparently. But first of all, I want to take a look at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view that's going on tonight. Despite the goofy name and the less than impressive logo for the pay-per-view, it looks like it's actually stacked up to be a pretty good show. Obviously, I think everybody's looking at the main event of Brock and Samoa Joe. Everything's been going on the last couple weeks. They're making Joe out to be somebody who can actually challenge Brock. So I don't think we're going to see another one of these 30-second matches that we saw with him and Goldberg. So I'm looking for this to be a pretty good match. Honestly, I think with as much as Joe is over right now, I really think they need to pull the trigger on him and give him the Universal title. Brock only appearing every few months is I don't know. It's kind of getting old. I mean, I know they want to make it like a special attraction and make the title seem a little bit more prestigious, a little bit more special. But I really think they need to pull the trigger on Joe and give him a run with the belt and see what happens. I mean, obviously been working with Jinder Mahal. He went from a jobber to world champion, and he's been running with it. So, and Joe is far from a jobber. He is way over with the crowd. Fans love him, and he's just a badass in the ring. So I think they need to give him a run with the belt and just ride it out, see where it goes. Another match I'm kind of looking forward to, I'm interested, is Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman in an ambulance match. Not sure which way they're going to go with this one. I think they should let Braun go over in this one. But, with Roman being set up to be the new face of the company, kind of the next John Cena, I guess you could say, they're probably going to have him come out on top in this one. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Then we have the women's title, Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. I think Alexa needs to keep the title in this one. That Raw Women's Championship has just been passed around way too much ever since Charlotte won it. It got passed back and forth between her and Sasha 4 or 5 times, and it went to Bayley. And I think Alexa they need to give Alexa a pretty good run with the belt. She's a great heel champion. Always kind of finding a way to come out on top. Manipulating her opponents and everything else. So I think Alexa needs to hold on to the title for a bit longer. Next one we got is Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt needs to win this match. I mean, they have Bray kind of set up to, or I thought they kind of were setting him up to kind of take the Undertaker spot of that mysterious, supernatural type guy. But he never seems to win a rivalry. They gave him a very brief run with the world title on SmackDown, but ever since he's been on Raw, he hasn't really done a whole lot for a little while. Like they were setting up something with him and Finn Balor, which I think would have been phenomenal for both of them. And then he just kind of switched over to Seth Rollins real quick. So, hopefully Bray goes over in this one. They need to start pushing him, letting him win some more matches. I think, just my opinion, obviously, but. Again, see where it goes. Intercontinental title, we got the Miz and Dean Ambrose. I'm looking for Miz to win this one. Ambrose hasn't done a whole lot lately. It's been him and Miz. It's been more of a comedy act, and I'm not super fond of either guy right now. But they're both more than capable in the ring. It's just they're doing the best they can with what they've been given storyline wise. So, but I think Miz should hold on to the Intercontinental title tonight. So we'll see what's going on with that one. Another interesting one I'm looking forward to is the tag team title match, which is a tag team Iron Man match. I believe it's the first one they've had as far as tag teams go. Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boys. From what I've been seeing and hearing, it looks like Sheamus is going to be taking time off soon. I guess he's filming a movie or something. So the Hardys are probably going to come on top of this one, end up with another run with the tag team titles. Where the tag team division goes from there, I don't know. We'll get a little more into that in a little bit here. Cruiserweight title, Neville and Tozawa. I believe this one's on the kickoff show. This should be a very good match. Both of these guys are great in the ring. I still think the Cruiserweights are not getting the exposure that they deserve. Well, I mean, they're getting the exposure. They're on Raw every week, but for some reason they're just not taking off like I think they should. And I think most of it's because, the fans just really don't know them that well. Most of them are decent on the mic, whereas Tozawa doesn't really talk on the mic. He just kind of does his yells and everything, but now he's got Titus O'Neil as kind of his mouthpiece, which I think is a good fit. I'm liking Titus as a manager. Looks like they're trying to transition him away from the ring. I know Corey Graves, it was JBL, who was not real high on Titus being a manager simply because of his look, his size. He looks like he should be in the ring, which I'll give him that. But apparently the powers that be want to move him more into a mouthpiece role, which he is very well suited for. I think Titus is pretty good on the mic, so I think he, with the right people, which of course now is Tozawa and Apollo Crews, I think he could, fill that managerial role, which is lacking in WWE today. You really don't see a whole lot of managers anymore, so I'm looking forward to what Titus can do the more he kind of gets comfortable in that new role. And then the last match booked for the card tonight is Enzo versus Big Cass. I think this is just going to be a squash match. I think Cass is just going to pound Enzo into the ground. I'd be surprised if the match lasts more than a couple of minutes. Which I hate this match. I hate the fact that this match is even happening. Enzo and Cass are one of the most over tag teams in WWE, and for whatever reason they decided to split them up. In my personal opinion, I think it's because Vince is still stuck in the era of the big man. He likes Cass's look, 7 foot, close to 300 pounds, pretty jacked. He's got a good look, he's good on the mic, he's decent in the ring for a big guy, he can hit all those big moves. So, and that's, like I said, I think Vince is still stuck in the era of the big man. I think behind the times a little bit, but that's, again, my own personal opinion. Some of you guys may disagree with me, but I hate the fact that they broke up Enzo and Cass. But again, I'll get more into that in a little bit here. Some other news going on. Cody Rhodes, of course, is the new Ring of Honor champion. He defeated Christopher Daniels. Something interesting to come out of that, of course, Daniel Bryan took to Twitter on this, congratulating Cody, and made mention of him, if he holds the title for 400 plus days, Bryan might have to come for him, kind of a glimpse into the future. I think Bryan Danielson may be looking to get back into the ring. Well, not maybe, I'm pretty sure he is looking to get back into the ring the way he keeps talking about it once his WWE contract is up next year. So, I definitely think if WWE will not allow him to get back into the ring, I'd be willing to bet almost anything we see Bryan Danielson back in a Ring of Honor ring. So, and I think a match between him and Cody in Ring of Honor would be phenomenal. I mean, I don't think Cody was used properly in WWE, which is pretty obvious from all the success he's had since he left WWE and the Indies in TNA and in, of course, Ring of Honor, New Japan. I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on that, as I'm sure everybody else is. Talking about New Japan, Kenny Omega, of course, the first ever IWGP United States champion, won that title in a tournament in LA with some shows that New Japan put on there. From everything I've read, I have not seen either of the shows, unfortunately. I'm hoping to catch up on those sometime soon, though. But from everything that I've seen, those shows were a huge success, and New Japan is definitely planning on expanding more into the United States, which I think could give WWE a run for their money. We may actually see some legitimate competition for WWE if New Japan continues with their U.S. expansion. New Japan is the second biggest wrestling promotion in the world, second only to WWE. And so I think if they do expand more into the United States, maybe even, who knows, get a TV deal other than Access TV, which typically shows stuff that's a year old, but get a weekly TV show going, and I'm just kind of spitballing, looking into the future here. I'm not saying it's going to be a rehash of the Monday Night Wars, but it's going to give people a legitimate, big-time alternative to WWE. And the Japanese style of wrestling is honestly, it's one of my favorites, because in Japan, it is all about the wrestling. It's much less on the drama and the mic work, and I think American wrestling fans are starting to take to that. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where New Japan goes from here, as far as in the United States. Some other big news going on, of course, everybody knows TNA Wrestling was bought out by Anthem Entertainment, who of course brought in Jeff Jarrett. And then TNA was merged with Global Force, and now Anthem has actually acquired Global Force from Jeff Jarrett and put him on their board of managers. And TNA Wrestling, of course, is no more. It was Impact Wrestling for a while. Now apparently it is Global Force Wrestling. The television show on Thursday nights is still called Impact, but the company apparently now is Global Force Wrestling. They've pretty much unified all of the titles. The only one that's kind of still up in the air that I'm curious about myself is the Global Force Next Gen Championship, which was held by Cody Rhodes, but he completed his obligations with Impact. So I'm curious to see if that title just kind of goes away, or if they're going to try to work that back in, maybe merge that with the X Division title, or even the Impact Grand Championship. There hasn't been any mention of it on television since the last time Cody Rhodes was on Impact, so I'm thinking they will probably just kind of let that one fade into the darkness. Who knows? But according to what Josh Matthews said on TV this past week, they are going to be coming out with new belts. Of course, Alberto El Patron is the world champion right now, has both the Impact and GFW titles. So I'm sure he'll be getting a pretty new belt in the next couple of weeks. Same thing with the Knockouts Championship. Sienna now holds the Impact Knockouts Championship and the Global Force Women's Championship. And the tag team titles for both companies, of course, are held by LAX, who, from what I've read from the TV tapings this past week, LAX has a new member in Low Key. So that should be interesting, because, of course, I know I've said before, Low Key is my all-time favorite indie guy. Just some of the stuff he does in the ring, his aggression, I just think he's phenomenal in the ring. I'd love to see him pushed a little bit harder than he has been. I'd love to see Low Key in a world title picture. So hopefully see where that goes. But yeah, Impact Wrestling is now Global Force, of course headed up by Jeff and Karen Jarrett. So we'll see, see how Double J does with a little bit better backing than he had before financially, and see if they actually let him kind of have control over the company himself, because obviously Anthem is a sports entertainment company, but I don't know if they have anybody who knows the wrestling business. I mean, obviously Dixie Carter did not, and she kind of don't want to say ran the company into the ground, but it is what it is. Talking about Dixie Carter, apparently she will be making her WWE television debut this coming week on Monday on the WWE Network, when they premiere the WWE 24 on Kurt Angle. Apparently she sat down and shot some footage and did an interview about Angle, which I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of a flashback to seeing Eric Bischoff show up on WWE TV back in the day. So it'll be definitely different to see Dixie on a WWE show, but I'm curious to see what she has to say. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be all good things about Kurt. So I'm sure it's not going to get into anything about TNA and her losing her power there. So, but should be a cool thing to watch. Some more news from WWE. Austin Aries, as of a couple days ago, has asked for and been granted his release. From what I've read about this, he just was not happy with his spot in the company, didn't like being in the Cruiserweight division, which I can't blame him. I mean, Austin has been a world champion everywhere he's gone. He was Impact World Champion, he was Ring of Honor World Champion, and he comes to WWE. Started off hot in NXT until he got an injury, but then they kind of shifted him to the Cruiserweight division, which I understand. They kind of wanted to get some a recognized veteran in there, kind of inject some life into the division, but apparently he just was not happy with the way he was being booked, and asked for his release. And from what I've heard, WWE wasn't real sad to see him go. Apparently, he was not well liked backstage. By all accounts, he's not the nicest guy in the world, which he kind of comes across in his character, a bit conceited, whatever. But honestly, he kind of has a right to be, because he is supremely talented in the ring and on the mic. He's just a great talent, and I think it's sad he didn't have a better run in WWE. Maybe we'll see him there again, but provided he's working under no compete clause at the moment, I would not be surprised to see him pop up at Bound for Glory for Global Force coming in October, if they have it. I mean, there hasn't been any advertisements for it or anything like that, but typically that would be when Bound for Glory takes place, is in October, and by my calculations, that would be when his 90-day no-compete would run out. So would not be surprised to see him pop up there, or even in Ring of Honor. Of course, Ring of Honor is crazy hot right now, so definitely, I'm sure they'd welcome him back with open arms. I could definitely see Aries maybe being brought in to be part of the Bullet Club. I think he would fit right in there with Cody and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I think, of course, if they're going, it seems like the Bullet Club's kind of going through a little power struggle right now between Cody and Kenny Omega. I could see Aries kind of inserting himself into that mix, because Aries, I definitely see him wanting to be the leader. So we'll just have to see where he ends up. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, kind of a surprise out of WWE house show at Madison Square Garden over this weekend. AJ Styles won the United States Championship from Kevin Owens. It's kind of rare that you see title changes at house shows anymore, but I definitely think this is a good play for WWE. I mean, AJ, should have a title on him, or should always be in a title picture. So this, of course, his first run with the United States Championship. He's already been WWE World Champion, so this kind of makes him the top guy on SmackDown at the moment. No disrespect meant to Jinder Mahal, but he's Jinder's still kind of building himself, which I think Jinder is doing a great job. He's took the title and ran with it. He's playing the perfect quintessential evil foreign heel champion. He's got his little entourage with the Singh brothers, and he's doing everything he can. He's doing his absolute best with that title, and he's definitely taking advantage of the opportunity he's been given. So, big time props to Jinder Mahal, because it could have gone one of two ways. He could have just completely collapsed and not been able to handle it, or he could have taken and ran with it, which is exactly what he did, and they've left the strap on him for a couple of months now. And I think it's something that was needed. You needed a fresh face, somebody to come out of left field and become the top guy, just to kind of shake things up a little bit. In WWE and on SmackDown in particular, that's exactly what they did, and it's in my opinion, working out fantastic. Another interesting tidbit from this past week, as I said, New Japan had their shows in LA last week, and the New Japan IWGP World Champion Kazuchika Okada actually showed up at Raw and SmackDown this week and was backstage at both shows. And in the case of SmackDown, sat in the gorilla position during the entire show. Now, of course, Triple H, of course, is obviously keeps up on the international and independent wrestling scene. You can tell that just from the people that he's brought in, as far as AJ Styles and Nakamura and everything like that. And I'm sure that's who Okada was there to see. I'm sure they're buddies because Nakamura was in New Japan forever. AJ was there for a long time. Don't expect to see Okada in a WWE ring anytime soon. He's under a long-term contract with New Japan, but I'm sure that this is part of the courting process. I'm sure Triple H is trying to, get in his ear, tell him, hey, when that contract is up, you've got a spot here. So maybe 3, 4, however many years Okada has left on his New Japan contract. After that, I wouldn't be surprised to see him at NXT or even on the main roster. So definitely have to keep an eye on that situation. But I think the fact that he was at both shows, and like I said, was at Gorilla during SmackDown. Shows a lot of respect on WWE's part. I'll dare say specifically on Triple H's part for him, and Vince McMahon's part, of course, because he's the one typically at Gorilla running the entire show for Raw and SmackDown. So I think WWE probably made a very, very good impression, scored a lot of points with Okada. So definitely interested to see how that's going to play out down the road. Alright, so I'm going to get into WWE's tag team division here for a little bit. I honestly have no clue who's making these decisions, but they need to stop. For a long time there, it looked like the tag team division was on the rise. There was more interest in it. The titles seemed to have more meaning to them. New Day had that long title run that beat Demolition's record, and people were interested in tag team wrestling again, and it was great. I was loving it because I've always been a fan of tag team wrestling. And you had all these teams coming up from NXT like Revival and Enzo Cass and American Alpha, and just the tag team division was hot. And now it seems like since the brand split and you have 2 tag team titles now, the division is just being decimated, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out why. And honestly, as a fan, it's driving me crazy. I mean, look at the tag teams that have been broken up or have been pushed down the roster to the point where you never see them anymore. I mean, Enzo and Cass, like I talked about earlier, is a perfect example. Probably the most over tag team in WWE. Has never held a tag team title in NXT or on the main roster, and they split them up. I mean, everybody saw it coming for months, and then they finally pulled the trigger on it within the last month or so. And I don't get it. They're the most, like I said, the most over tag team in the company. The fans went nuts every time their music hit, and it's completely senseless to me. You should have at least gave these guys one run with a tag title, whether it's NXT, Raw, SmackDown, who cares? Put the belts on them and let them go. People would go crazy for it like they always do for the 2 of these guys. But now Cass, of course, is going to be the big monster heel. I'm sure he's going to get a pretty good push. Wouldn't be surprised to see, maybe the Intercontinental title on him, or maybe do with him what they did with Jinder, push him straight to the top. Who knows? I mean, great for Cass. It's nothing against either one of these guys. I think they're both really talented performers. Enzo, especially on the mic. Cass more so in the ring. So I don't understand why they would have been split up. I mean, the Raw a couple weeks ago where Cass attacked Enzo in the ring with the big boot, when he first told them that they were through. I honestly believe that tear in Enzo's eye was real, because I think Enzo kind of sees the writing on the wall. This is probably going to destroy his career. I mean, I can't see them putting him in a title picture. I think the best hope for Enzo right now is if they move him to 205 Live to compete with the cruiserweights, because I think he can do well, obviously, in the cruiserweight division. I don't know how much longer that division is going to last, because I don't think it's taking off the way the WWE hoped it would. So I don't know. I'm kind of fearful for Enzo here, because I think we're going to see him relegated to being a jobber, or doing more of the backstage comedy stuff, just talking, and maybe not even see him in the ring at all. Who knows? And it's kind of sad to me, because they were one of the top teams in WWE. Same thing can be said for American Alpha over on SmackDown. We've seen Chad Gable in singles matches the last few weeks. Jason Jordan's been nowhere to be seen. I mean, being at ringside with Gable for one of his matches. He was in the Independence Day Battle Royal this past week. But when's the last time American Alpha had a tag team match? I mean, these guys were the #1 tag team in NXT, brought up to the main roster, won the SmackDown tag titles for a little bit, lost them back to the Usos, and where have they been since? I mean, these guys are probably the best wrestlers on the roster, and they barely see them anymore. And then when you do see them, it's not in a tag team match, you've got, Gable fighting Kevin Owens and, Jordan standing at ringside. I mean, what? I have no idea where they're going with this. Another tag team, by the same token, is the Ascension. I mean, most dominant tag team in NXT until the Authors of Pain came along, and now they're. When's the last time they had a match? I mean, they're doing comedy bits with Breezango, and these guys were supposed to be like these big badass heels, just squashing people, and they brought them up to the main roster and made them a joke, and now you see them maybe once a month if you're lucky. Again, another tag team that looks like they're breaking up now is the Hype Bros, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley. And I understand Zack was out with an injury for a while, and Mojo got a little bit of a push, won some battle royals, and did pretty well for himself, and kind of changing his attitude up from like the party guys getting more serious, which I like. I love Mojo Rawley, but I like the tag team of the Hype Bros too. And for Zack Ryder, I know the Hype Bros was kind of his last chance, I guess you could say. Zack had a pretty good, has had a pretty good singles career. He's been U.S. champion, he's been Intercontinental champion, but never for a very long time. And he's always kind of been kind of a comedy act himself. But he's a guy that's over with the fans, and this is another tag team that people love. People, they're fun to watch, and by all appearances, it looks like this is another one they're going to split up. You saw the first hints of dissension in this battle royal that happened on SmackDown, the Independence Day Battle Royal. With Rawley throwing Ryder out of the ring. And you could even see when Ryder first came back. Mojo was in the middle of an interview, and Ryder came in and said, "Hey, the Hype Bros are back," and you could just kind of see the look on Mojo's face, like, "Hey, man, I'm having a singles run here. I don't want this right now," which of course is storyline, but I don't know. It's another tag team that they're apparently going to split up, and for, in my opinion, no good reason. Another one, again, for no good reason in NXT is Gargano and Ciampa. Of course, I was at the NXT TakeOver Chicago show, the tag team ladder match for the titles with two of them and Authors of Pain. It was a fantastic match. And then, of course, at the end of the match, Ciampa just destroys Gargano. And everybody knows Ciampa was injured. He was going to be out for a little while. And I guess that was kind of, their way of taking him off TV and putting Gargano in a spot to where to have a singles run. But again, I mean, DIY, one of the best tag teams in the ring, and they're just going to split them up for no good reason. I mean, tag teams are just kind of dropping like flies in WWE. I'm waiting for them to just eliminate the tag team championships altogether. I mean, there's been talk of the Hardy Boys splitting up, Matt going back to his broken gimmick. And if they do that, I'm sure they kind of rehash the whole storyline from TNA, where broken Matt and against Jeff, and then maybe, I don't know if they follow the same path of, okay, then Jeff's broken and they're back together, and who knows. But again, one of the greatest tag teams of all time comes back at WrestleMania, has a run with the titles, probably going to get another run with the titles after tonight, and but then like I said, this is kind of rumblings. I haven't seen anything on Raw to indicate that they're going in that direction, but it wouldn't surprise me the way things are going right now. Another great tag team, the Revival. I would put them on the level of American Alpha as far as in-ring skill and on the mics. I mean, these guys, they're called the Revival for a reason. They're an old school, no nonsense tag team. I mean, they're go back to Arn and Ole Anderson, or Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. That's kind of tag teams that's kind of tag team these guys are. And when is the last time they were on TV? I know one of them was injured for a little bit, but they've been back for a couple of months now, and they've yet to have a match. They were a little bit in the storyline with the end zone casting, when they're trying to figure out who's attacking Enzo backstage, and that's it. That's all you've seen of them. I mean, put these guys in the ring. I don't understand. If this is Vince, I don't understand his logic. I mean, Vince has final say over everything that goes on Raw and SmackDown and the WWE in general. So I don't understand his logic behind any of this. And by the same token, Gallows and Anderson, one of the top teams in the world. These guys ruled New Japan for how many years? Come to WWE, and they came in hot, had a little bit of a tag title run. They tried to turn it into a comedy act for a minute. Thank God that stopped. But now, where are they? I know Finn Balor's wrestling Carl Anderson on house shows, which put that on TV. I mean, these are the two founding members of the Bullet Club. Work that angle. But I don't understand. I mean, as of right now, there are like 6 or 7 tag teams in the entire WWE, that aren't in some way being broken up or being buried or not being put on TV, and that's, I'm including NXT in that. I mean, NXT, you've got the Authors of Pain and Heavy Machinery. That's it. There are no other viable contenders for the tag team championships in NXT. So, of course, titles are just going to get handed back and forth between these two, or AOP is just going to hold them for God knows how long. Which is fine. I like the Authors of Pain, but give them some competition. How many times can they wrestle Heavy Machinery? I know they got their first match coming up at the next TakeOver, Brooklyn. Great. I'm sure it's going to be a phenomenal match. Where do they go from there? There's no other viable tag teams in NXT right now than those two. And I mean, on the main roster, you've got Rhino and Slater, which I'm sorry I can't even call them a viable tag team because they were just kind of thrown together because they had nothing else to do with either of them creatively. You got Cesaro and Sheamus, which they turned into a great tag team. I take nothing away from them. Like I said, it looks like they're probably going to lose the belts to the Hardys tonight because Sheamus is going to be taking time off to film a movie. Fine, get that. I'm sure once he comes back, they'll be, right back in the tag team picture. Great. You got the Usos. I've always been a fan of the Usos. Not sure about their current gimmick. I mean, I like the Usos as heels. I like their when they first came into WWE, they're kind of a little more hardcore gimmick. Don't know about the whole thug thing that they're going for right now, but it seems to be working for them. Like I said, I like the Usos as heels. I like them as tag team champions. But again, where's their competition? I mean, you got the New Day, which is great. Again, I love the New Day. I didn't when they first came out, couldn't stand them, but it seems like with everybody else, New Day has just kind of grown on them, and they're probably one of the most popular teams in WWE right now. But again, how many times can the New Day and the Usos wrestle? Who else is there to compete for those tag titles? I mean, on SmackDown, you got the Usos, you got New Day, you got American Alpha. Throw American Alpha back into the mix. I mean, I have no clue. It's frustrating the hell out of me, honestly, because like I said, I love tag team wrestling. I've always been a fan of tag team wrestling. Go back to the Hart Foundation, the Road Warriors, the Steiner Brothers, Demolition, Powers of Pain. And I'm just naming WWE tag teams here. The Killer Bees, the Young Stallions, Strike Force, or I mean, God, there were so many good tag teams back in the day. Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. Tag team wrestling used to matter. It just seems like it doesn't anymore. I mean, you've got a team like Breezango, which, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, they're a damn good tag team. They're both great in the ring. I think their gimmick is crap. But like I said, you've got basically 7 tag teams in the entire WWE right now that are actually getting airtime, when realistically there should be at least a dozen. NXT, you've got 2. So I don't know what's going on with tag team wrestling in the WWE right now. I don't think Vince is a huge fan of tag teams. So we'll just have to, again, kind of wait and see. It's kind of like watching a car wreck. It's like you can't look away because, just because of the sheer carnage of it. And that's kind of how I look at the tag team division right now, because it's just being destroyed, and it just really kind of bugs me. So I guess we'll see where we're going with it, because there are so many great tag teams in WWE right now that are not being utilized or not being utilized to their potential. Let's see Gallows and Anderson in there against Cesaro and Sheamus. I think that would be an outstanding freaking match with those guys. Or, let the Hype Bros take a shot at the Usos. Or bring, Gargano and Ciampa. I know Ciampa's still hurt, but, bring them up to the main roster. Put them in a program with the Revival. Transfer that whole thing from NXT, because they put on some of the best tag team matches I've ever seen. So I don't know what Vince McMahon is thinking about this whole thing. I'm waiting for them to just kind of phase out the tag team titles altogether, and which would really kind of suck. But unfortunately, to me, it looks like that's the direction that they're going. So I don't know. Again, kind of one of those wait and see things. Maybe Vince has something up his sleeve, but they're running out of tag teams here, so. They're gonna. I have a feeling they're gonna start going back to these kind of cut and paste teams. On SmackDown you've got the Singh brothers, the Bollywood boys, who have yet to have a match on SmackDown. They're just kind of Jinder Mahal's backup, and when they're a damn good tag team. So put them in the ring, throw them in the mix somehow. There's just so many directions they could go. There's so much you could be doing with all these guys, and they're not doing it, and it's frustrating the hell out of me. I'm sure it is some of you guys too, who are, as into wrestling as I am. But I don't know. This is one of those times where I kind of have to question Vince McMahon's sanity a little bit. But like I said, another wait and see type situation. So that's pretty much all I got for this week. I am going to try to start posting shows every week again. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week we'll go through the results of Great Balls of Fire, see what's coming up on the SmackDown side for Battleground, how that starts shaping up. So until then, hope you guys enjoy. Talk to you soon.